you want me to lock the door? It's on.
You don't need to lock the door.
Okay, it's on.
Bring council meeting to order with City of Yamhill on Wednesday, August 9th at 6:30 PM on time. And may I get a roll call, please?
Word here.
Victoria here.
You get it.
Potter here. Kadeem here. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we are opening now for public comment. Is there somebody that would like to speak in public comment? Ms. Perrin, you want to go first?
Yep, that's fine.
So, my name is Kathy Perrin, 2.5 North Maple Street. And multiple times over the years, people have asked questions or made comments with a question included that council doesn't answer because it's basically for public comment. So it was told to me last meeting or meeting before, I didn't get to the last meeting, that if you submit questions ahead of time, potentially those questions would be answered. So I did that a month ago, actually, today. I submitted 3 questions, relatively simple questions, and I got a response. I don't believe they were from Angela. And the questions were answered that didn't pertain to my questions at all. And so my concern is that something's either being hidden or the questions submitted by the residents of the city are going to be ignored. And that's a concern because it makes me feel like something's being hidden from the people that live in this town. And the question, one of the questions that I had has been addressed with the water committee and by more than one person, which potentially could be beneficial to the city as a whole. And like I say, the answer has absolutely nothing to do with the question. And so not only myself, but other people, and a lot of times when I address things, it's not just from me, it's from other people that no longer want to come to city council meetings because they go right to door, you know, everything goes without any kind of answers. Everything's ignored, and that's a concern also, you know, because people need to know what the heck is going on. And if they have questions, they should be answered within a reasonable amount of time. And the question needs to be answered with the answer associated with that question, not a roundabout way of saying something else that's totally irrelevant.
What were your questions, Patty?
One was about having the city create a water district as a whole, which included the outside water districts.
So what was the question within that? Thank you, we were not privy to those.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm just curious.
So my question was, why is city council not looking at creating a water district that includes all city residents and the outside water districts? The city cannot continue to add new subdivisions and allow outside water districts to use 3 times more water than the city as a whole. And the reason that we're able to build more homes in town is because the outside water districts are considered surplus water. And in reality, yes, it is, but the city and the outside water districts use right out 100% of our water. And yes, it would not allow the outside or the additional building. But if the contracts were, if they were enforced, because they all say for domestic use only, so with the exception of 2, that we would have more water to build, you know, for additional subdivision. Anyway, that was one question.
Second question?
With city council raising the water rates by less than half the amount required to maintain our infrastructure, and moving money from water fund to the sidewalk fund, how is Public Works going to be able to maintain our water system, the infrastructure?
We started beginning your question again, sir.
That's okay. With city council raising the water rates by less than half the amount required to maintain our infrastructure, and moving money from the water fund to the sidewalk fund, how is Public Works going to be able to maintain our water system?
Okay. And the third one?
And the third one, you all may not like, but I did it anyway. Keeping in mind the qualifications posted for the city administrator, what qualifications does our chief of police currently have that qualifies him to be the interim city administrator? And then I also asked if he was receiving additional wages. And what I got for that one was 22 pages, I'm assuming, over his lifetime of being an officer and a chief, of his hourly, because a lot of them were just an hour at a time, trainings, I guess you'd call it. Which, you know, in my opinion, the majority of that had to do with police work, not running the city. So anyway,
Thank you,
those are my questions.
thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
Well, sir, I just have a question. Do we hire a city administrator?
No, sir, we did not. The one that we had for a candidate that we had a public meeting for everybody to meet, did not meet the full criteria, and the public recommended that we didn't hire, and the council chose not to hire.
Very Wilson, 7 Hennings Main. I'm just asking if we've decided to be on a level 1 water restriction yet, considering it hasn't rained forever. And
We'll cover that during the report.
okay,
Thank you. Was there any other questions?
Simple. One.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody else for public comment? I'm glad to see you all here. Nice to see faces. All right, we'll close public comment at this time. Actually, is there anybody?
Nobody online.
For public comment? If you're online and you'd like to speak for public comment, please raise your electronic hand or go unmuted and speak. Seeing no hands, we'll go ahead with no public comment and close that time and ask for agenda updates or additions. Do you have any agenda updates or additions?
No updates or additions.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And the consent agenda, the financial statements to current today, which is really nice. Thank you. To the staff for having that up to date. I went through it and it looks good, actually. Printed it out separately, so I can keep it handy for the most time. Yay. And it was only 40 pages? Yay. I think 40 pages. So anything with the consent agenda, any comments, any input, any questions?
Like a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. May I get a vote, please?
49.
Victoria,
Yeah.
Potter, aye. Heather, and I. Unfinished business, city business administrator recruitment update. So we just spoke about that. We have the city administration position has been ongoingly open. So we've been getting applications on an ongoing basis. Most of them don't meet the initial criteria. The last one did, and so we pursued that person and asked them to do an interview. They interviewed with council and staff, and then we all agreed that they met that fairly well. We still had some questions, so we asked the public and did a public meet and greet and invited the public to come and meet each person. And lots of questions, lots of great questions actually from the public. We spent probably 3 to 2 hours, kind of just asking question after question, and he handled it pretty well. He answered them fairly well. But in the end, he wasn't the person that the city was looking for or needed. Council has stated that this candidate would have been a good candidate had the position already been created. And he was just stepping into the position and filling shoes that already had been created. And this particular candidate didn't have the full skill level to come in and create a position from scratch and set the foundation and set the standard for what it's going to look like for the city from this point forward. And so at this time, we did not pick that person. And at this time, we have no current applications that we're considering. So at this time, we have no applicant or candidate for the city administrator position. We did meet in an executive session tonight and discuss options for the city on how we can move forward with or without a city administrator. And we will probably discuss that further in the agenda. Any questions from council on the administrator? Pretty much cover that. All right, so the next thing is new business, resolution 811, council memo, resolution authorizing submittal of application for the DLCD grant. So this one is actually a great opportunity. Our contracted city planner, Walt Wendelowski, has taken the initiative and drive to prepare and submit a DLCD housing application grant. DLC is Department of Land Conservation and Development Housing Planning Assistance Grant. And this would be to review the comprehensive plan and zone code to identify any barriers to providing needed housing and conduct a buildable land inventory, identifying developable and redevelopable lands within the city limits. And so this is the 2 necessary steps before the city can do any entertaining or any consideration of the urban growth boundary amendment. So this is the grant to get the people to come in and do that study to tell us whether we can even consider expanding our UGB. And he completed the application. It had to be submitted in a certain time frame, but he needed council's approval to do it. So we're asking that council consider approving him processing and applying for this particular grant to help us develop a review for comprehensive plan and zone code to identify any barriers that we might have.
I make a motion to approve resolution 811, a resolution authorizing submittal of application for DLCD grant.
And for the mayor to sign.
And for the mayor's time.
Second.
And can I get a vote, please?
Sorry,
Potter, aye.
Padilla, aye.
Miss Angie, I have that form here for signature, but I stapled it, so I'll probably need a fresh form, because if I tear this one out, it won't be appropriate.
I can do that.
Thank you. All right, department reports, Chief Craven. Chief Craven is out on leave and Corporal Van Cleve is covering in his absence. However, Corporal Van Cleve obviously was called out on a call and is not available at this time, so we'll move him down and maybe he'll be able to show up and come report for us. Public Works. Mr. Walker is also unavailable, but his trusty helper was willing to step in his absence. Kyle, can you give us a staff report or a filter media project update?
So we replaced our two filters at the water plant. We had them factored out, everything cleaned out, checked our under drains. Everything was in good operational shape. We put all new media in. And it took 2 weeks to get this project done. It was quite time consuming, but we're up fully operational now and we're in good shape. It's all brand new, so 25 or 22-year-old media has been removed and now we got brand new stuff, so we're looking good on that.
So how often does it need to be there, recommended?
Recommended 5 to 10, I'd say 15 is probably adequate. When you do filter backwashes, so there's different layers of media, and anthracite coal is kind of the most important, and that's the top layer, and that's the lightest. So when you do backwash, it pushes all that out, and you'll lose a lot of it over the years. And we were probably 5 inches short of that over the 20 years. And it was never added in this time period. We do have extra on hand so we can keep it adequate now. So we're in good shape. We got that off. So
Who did the work, your staff or the?
us and Delta Incorporated,
Please explain NTUs to me.
Nephelmetic turbidity units. So it's the
Will you say that again for me?
Nephelmetic turbidity units.
Okay,
It's the clarity of water, so water, it'll have dirt and sand and stuff in it, so it measures at a 90-degree angle with light how clear the water is, basically.
and so how does it compare now after the new filtration as before?
We are still seasoning it, but it's. So a good example is your bottled water. It's usually at least 100 times dirtier than ours. It's still clear. But we measure in the thousands. And like ours is 0.024 thousands. And bottled water is 0.1. Regulations for drinking water is 0.3 and below. And like bottled water has no regulation. They have hardly any regulations on the water, where municipalities are regulated by the state and federal.
That's substantial.
Good
Yeah.
enough.
So a gallon of bottled water costs 0.14 cents to make and deliver. Your bottled water, how much does that cost to buy?
A lot.
Yeah, so, and ours is regulated by state and federal, theirs is not. So,
Wow. In here, it says the NTUs are now 10 times cleaner than when we started this project. Is that accurate?
that's. I haven't seen that, but I'd say it's within reason, yes. I wasn't prepared for this. To be
We are.
really honest. We did the plan, yeah, we did.
It was spectacular.
How big's the filter we're talking about? Pat?
They're 12 foot by 12 foot, so 144 square foot
Wow, big.
Yeah.
times 2, so 288 square feet.
Where does that get installed at?
As you,
So as the plant goes, there's the intake, it goes into the plant, it gets all the chemical treatment that
so our,
goes through the filtration system.
so our intake is at the creek.
Yeah.
And then it pumps it into the plant, then it pumps it through pipes where it injects our chemicals, comes down, goes out to our block basin where it mixes the chemicals and bonds the dirt, sand, and all the dirt badness. Then it settles down to the bottom and flows through our troughs and weirs, and then it goes into our filters. And then that's where it goes down to the media, and that's where our chlorine gets injected to disinfect it. And then it has like a 2-hour, it goes through baffles, 2 hours of contact time, and then it goes out into our distribution from there.
And this new 12 by 12 filter is where in the
It's,
Just before the valves, isn't it?
it's, yes, just before the clear well, which is where our treated water is, before it hits our distribution to our reservoirs into town.
excellent. And it says in this report, filters were installed for the purpose of cleaner drinking water through the process of filtering out contaminants.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of what you call mud balls and in our the top layers of filters, which sounds dirty and it was still very good drinking water, but we got all that cleaned out. We were able to check our under drains, manifold, make sure that we didn't have any issues. We did find a crowbar at the bottom of one filter
Somebody got really mad one day.
Yeah.
and a rib bone.
Weird.
Human or?
No,
Okay.
Are you sure?
well, I'm not gonna tell you the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say that joke. I want that joke.
So is it also says in this report that that filter has not been changed for over 25 years?
Since the plant is installed. And that was about
Never been
2001, I think we got, our new plant got put in place 2001. And it's never been changed, it's never had any anthracite added to it. Like, it's,
Well,
that's kind of why we.
Kyle, I want to say thank you.
Yeah, how'd you know?
Thank you.
How do you know what to do?
I've been learning.
Good job, I'm really proud of you. I'm not trying to be.
I know.
Really proud of you, because you know your stuff.
So I can tell you on the tour that I was given, I had to ask questions constantly with technical terms and jargon that he knows and the amounts and the wheres and the whys and the backup plans and the backup and the backup and the backup plans. We're blessed to have this guy.
Yeah, he really is. He's very good at what he does. Thank you, Kyle.
I want to know what the other guy did for years. If this hasn't been done for 25 years. Yeah.
I need not say anything more on that one. Is there anything else to report on, for Public Works that you're aware
I know that there were, sidewalk bids put in place. I don't know much about that, to be honest, that's Jason's thing. So I know we got some bids to fix the sidewalks. To be honest,
of?
I'm not really on that side of things.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Can I ask something? On First Street, the rut, are those gonna be paved again, or are you just waiting for them to get done?
Like in between Jennifer and
Yeah.
Hemlock, I believe a couple were, repaved, I think there's. Yeah,
They've been avoiding.
I think there's one
Left.
left, yeah, that's, so, a couple of those and
Okay,
repaved,
I haven't been going that way.
yeah, I think there's still one that's not.
One fire for every.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you.
Well,
The white mark, the white arrow between, Azalea and Azalea, to the sidewalk. Also,
can you say that again?
there's two arrows on the sidewalks between Azalea and Dahlia.
Just arrows, white arrows?
Yeah, pointed in.
That, it might be Zipley work,
Okay,
so that's just, the white paint marks are for locate.
okay.
And, off the top of my head, I'm not sure because we've had so many, but Zipley has been doing a lot of fiber work underground.
Oh,
That's probably what that is.
So council, in your packets, there is information on the contractor.
Yeah.
Sidewalk business are in process. Yeah, there's not much to it, but that would be nice to have that done. All right, anything else for Public Works this time? We're going to come back to you. All right, and we'll go back to police.
Good evening.
Can you give us an update?
Sorry for
Right. It looks like we have the water piece at Chief Raven, posted through July. Would you like to run down Mr. Hall? And stats? I don't have any other.
No, you don't need to, we've reviewed them.
Okay, other than that, I don't have anything.
No.
Pretty simple. Chief's at the CIS conference. And I was invited, but that's okay.
Where is it?
I think it's at the beach.
Oh,
Well,
that's West. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
However, didn't you just recently go to some major training also? I don't know where it was, it probably was.
So, yeah, I completed the, hip swing leadership course. It was a 4-month course where I spent about 3 days out of, or 4 days out of the end of every week at DPSSP to get my leadership certification for hip swing, and that was completed back in May.
And what's that mean, leadership certification?
There's a requirement, how many hours training hours that we need as supervisors with my rank in order to move up and get my next, certificate, which is supervisory certificate. I've got 2 years of my rank and so many hours of training and supervisory courses. In order to fulfill
So
that
you count the hours of training that you have to train, and you count that for a reason, you have to have a certain amount,
And I think that was a couple hundred,
a couple.
some hundred, hours of training, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. that
Is that how much you have to complete for the corporal
for
position
the position, yeah.
or for the supervisor?
No, the corporal position is not required to have training to get the promotion, it's to get the supervisory certificate
After,
to have that, title from the DPSSP.
okay.
Is that I have to have so many hours of training at my rank or whatever rank the department decides to issue, for 2 years. Working on that and just signed up for another one today.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Thank you.
And what's the new one you signed up for?
Supervisory management for pursuit. Vehicle pursuit.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So if there was, so anytime, my understanding, and it's limited, anytime there is a pursuit, that has to be immediately reported to a supervisor. The pursuit is underway, is that correct?
As soon as the pursuit begins, the officer is responsible for notifying the officer in charge or the chief. Correct.
In our instance, it would be the chief.
If I started a pursuit, I would be calling Chief Raven or asking dispatch to notify him about the pursuit. In Officer Miller's case, it would, prior to my appointment, at least, I would notify the chief, but at this point, it would be me.
So he would then notify you now because you're have had the leadership training.
After I have the leadership training, I won't have that first season until September.
Okay,
But yeah.
excellent. Good to know. Anything else for?
Oh, National Night Out was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah. And then I went on vacation for a week.
It was good. I was really grateful to see the, what I call them, the motorcycle game.
Baka, Fighters Against Child Abuse. That was the first time for them.
They were a great addition.
She came out and she saw me on a traffic stop and came by and gave me her contact info. And we started talking about whether or not they'd ever been to a national night out before. And she told me that they had never been here, never heard of it. And so she was willing to bring some of her partners and they came out and set up their bikes and photo ops for the kids. And I think we'll have them back next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun.
She got lots of good candy.
It was great.
And
Yeah.
her mom, I'm blanking on her name. The gal who was here.
I was trying to think of it myself. All I could think was biker mama, but I know that wasn't.
She is the biker mom, but her mom was a police officer also. And so when she passed away, she wanted to kind of carry on that tradition and be a part of law enforcement from the motorcycle.
And their organization does what? Can you give us just a brief?
So they advocate for victims of child abuse. If you guys have ever heard of the bikers club, where they advocate for victims of child abuse, and they kind of assign sponsors from their motorcycle clubs to go along with these victims, as they do for recovery and to make sure that they don't go back to that life again, and they provide guidance and make sure that they stay with their heads on straight. And
And I understand they escort them to court if they've got to go testify against their
They will go to court with them, they will go to school with them, they will ensure that they get any financial assistance, if any financial assistance.
Big brother.
It's like a big brother group, yeah, and they stay with them until they're adults or until the kids decide that they don't want their assistance anymore. Yeah, this is actually my first run-in, with the group.
Great backup.
Close and personal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had all sorts of tools on her,
She's good.
so.
Yes,
nothing.
we did.
But yeah, no, that was about it, and we'll start planning, before too long, for the next national night out, and hopefully get some more people involved. I know that there was a couple of people who couldn't show up, from the community on something, so that they would, have a booth, but they didn't come through. And I'd like to get Larson House, maybe even Mr. Colford could come out and set up a barber booth.
There you go. Give no box to kids.
I have it right there.
That's right.
You go.
Anything else,
I
Corporal?
don't think, thank you.
Thanks, Joe. With that, on top of the police report, there was a letter that was submitted to Chief Graven, and I'd like to read it for the record. And forgive me if I mistake something, because the spelling is. Invented, thank you, thank you. Dear Chief Greg Graven, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. On June 23, 2023, my husband had a heart attack. I called 911, and in the meantime, I pulled him out of his chair and started chest compression. Just a few minutes later, Officer Travis Van Cleve of the Yamhill Sheriff's Office, sorry,
Good promotion.
came to our rescue. He took over compressions on my husband and saved his life. He had to do that for at least 7 to 8 minutes by himself. I was in no shape to help him. His dedication and humanitarian soul kept him focused to keep the compressions going until the other first responders arrived. The strength, compassion, and stamina Travis showed needs more than the brownies that I baked for him. Chief, this man deserves an award to honor such a person. He never wavers. He is and will always be my hero. My husband lives because of this angel of a human being. My prayers and wishes will always be with you, Travis Van Cleve. Thank you to all who have involved. Much love. Our city is very glad to have you in service to us. Thank you. Did he share it? Did he? Wow.
She made 6 dozen brownies for all of the agencies that responded from Carlton, McMinnville, for the dispatchers, and so I spent an afternoon delivering brownies.
Oh,
My
nice.
husband was released, I think, 2 or 3 weeks after that event, and he's doing much better now.
After his other day, he's doing great.
And a side note, if you were a county sheriff's officer, do you think you would have been able to get there as quickly?
Well, if we were stationed, the whole deal with that event was that we were here. I was here and started at noon that day, and the call came out at like 12:25. So I got here within a couple minutes, and the next responding unit that arrived from, I believe, Carlton Fire was there 7.5 to 8 minutes after I had gotten there and started compressions. So it's hard to say where I would be, but I can tell you that the deputies who responded didn't get there till after probably the second or third responding medical unit.
We saw that the other night too, when you were out in the other units.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Traffic accident, yeah, that's not unusual.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I know that the staffing shortages that they're experiencing are putting them to a pinch point where they're talking about not being able to provide 24/7 coverage right now.
Mhm.
So that's not happening, but that's a potential
Conversation.
conversation that
that is, taking place in case they can't fill their staff levels for sure.
Well, I know I had an event in my neighborhood 2 weeks back, and, it took them a half hour to respond.
Yeah.
And I know they were short-handed.
At some point, I'd like to think that we could have a third officer that could stay overnight. Just for instances like that, it doesn't happen very often, but when I go home and I'm on call. Or Officer Miller goes home and he's on call, it takes time for us to get out here. And sometimes the sheriff's office can be this out here, sometimes they don't even call us. So it's unfortunate, but
It happened.
it happens.
I'm really grateful you were there within 2 minutes to support this. Well done.
Thank you.
Water rate study. So. Jason's not here, and the OAWU is not here. They're not online, or did they show up online? Do we know that? Anyone? If you're online and you're from the OAWU,
Tim Tice.
Tim Tice?
No, Tim.
No, Tim Tice, all right. So Kyle, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Can you give us any of your thoughts on the water rate study? Because we don't really want to wait until next month to have an understanding of it. Just what you can.
I would suggest that we follow his suggestions to give us on par with what we need to do for the city.
Okay, all right. All right.
I mean, the 10% suggested by Ross Schultz is not adequate. And it's just gonna keep us where we're at. We need to adjust our tier system, which would help with water conservation for our outside district and again, I was prepared for this, but.
I know you were, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
But I believe his study is adequate and it's the most fair for everyone in the city and even outside. And I recommend following it.
Okay,
The 10% is not gonna do us any good.
and
That's just my opinion.
what percentage do you recommend? For that?
I'd have to look at his, but I gave those. I don't wanna get into the numbers that I don't.
Do you have it right there? What is he recommending?
Oh, I think it was 17, but I'm not finding it right in my paperwork at the moment.
And another thing, the commercials. Buildings are paying half the cost of residential,
Mhm.
and they're making money off using that for ice and so and so, and. What our residential paying more than our commercial.
I didn't realize that.
And I don't have the study in front of me.
So Counselor, my question to you, obviously we need more information, we need to go into it, more deeply. I would, encourage all of council to kind of go through with the fine tooth comb. I know I did a scan and then I was gonna go back and do another scan and, it's a lot of information, which is good, that's what we want, that's what we've been waiting for, is a lot of information. But now we gotta make some decisions about that. The first decision is, are we prepared to release the water rate study to the public? If that makes no decision, there's no decisions made, it gives recommendations, but no decisions.
Would there be a reason not to?
And I think I should be able to see what we're looking at and why we're making the decision we're going to do eventually, give them time to review it as well, so.
Yeah.
They would understand.
It's a huge document, you get feedback from anybody willing to provide it, I'd appreciate greatly.
Do we want to do a public hearing? And get feedback on it?
We could release it before.
I don't think that's a terrible idea at all.
Everybody else need input? Will we start making decisions? Okay. Kyle.
before with me and Jason together. And see before the town hall and then kind of have a better idea of what we want to do.
I like that.
And then have the community involvement after we kind of, hard have to go.
No, I agree that that'd be good. But I do also, I do want to include the coverage in.
Well, yeah, I'm just in kind of where we're at and why. And then
So we can maybe schedule a work session and invite you and Kyle and you and Jason. And preferably Tim Tice.
Yeah. Yeah, I know he's looking to set up a meeting as well.
Excellent,
So,
okay.
You're running through the water advisory, you do one meeting,
Oh,
when the water advisory and. So we can only have to come out one time.
No, I think that's good.
The water advisory has been waiting for the report to be able to give their input as well.
They have been.
do they have a meeting later this month?
When is their next meeting?
The end of,
I think it's the 28th.
If we just crash their meeting, they'd probably lean all we need to.
Is Tim Tice gonna be at that water meeting?
We could probably make that happen.
Where they hold their meeting.
yeah,
He could do it on Zoom too, but he could come in. I'm not sure of his schedule, but.
It is Wednesday, August 30th at 7 p.m. here.
do we need to do it sooner or how long do you want to wait to do the town hall?
We'll do the town hall after we meet with the water advisory and Tim Tice, so we can schedule it now.
The longer we put it out, then the longer we're delaying
Schedule it.
Decisions.
decision.
But if we get the water advisory and the town hall before the next council meeting.
Yeah.
Then we'll have everything we need.
August 20th through the 25th. They won't be available. We have a conference in Seaside with OAW, so
You don't
That
have
week.
Seaside?
is out.
He's going to Seaside, Travis. You could be going to Warrington.
Going to Newport from Anniversary.
Okay, that's even better.
So we'll just do the water advisory meeting.
Mayor Potter, can I mention something? That's all. No, you don't want me to.
I
At the
know.
last water meeting I went to. Sherry Wilson, 7th East Main. Tim Pfeiffer had sent a letter out to his water district with a bunch of lies, saying that they didn't have to renew their yearly contracts, that was automatically done. And it was just kind of like false information that hadn't been written, I mean, hadn't been overseen by the water board people. And all these people showed up and you're gonna turn our water off and, so it would just be nice to, if somebody's gonna send letters out, that they should be official letters, not just willy-nilly, because Tim Pfeiffer decides that he's in charge of it.
So send letters out to, who sent letters
To
to?
his water district people.
Okay.
That, was not factual, and they were all under the impression, you were there, I mean.
They got one.
No, I was online. I heard it all.
I think the town hall that will get everybody on the same page, we'll get the information out to the water district as well, that way they're welcome to come.
Absolutely. We want their input.
Right.
For the 30th, and then September 6th. Looks like a free Wednesday. Did we want to
First week of school.
have Angie check this place for? It is the first week of school. It's Wednesday. Next week is the council meeting, so we have to do it.
What are we gonna get at?
So the 30th, we have water. And the week, and 2 weeks later, we have the council meeting.
Yeah.
So the week in between that is the only. Option we have. Andy, have you checked that? Can you, or or do you need time to go check?
Hold on, 9/6. I don't think there's anything.
And does that give us plenty of time to post it?
It does.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it on my calendar. September 6th. maybe. When. I'd like for 6:30 time frame. Anybody want to go earlier or later? What you want? 6:30?
We want to put a time limit on it, or just go for everything on stage?
No, no, nobody gets. Either, yeah. We give, I mean, do a couple hours, that should
So
be.
6:30 to 8:30,
Yeah,
just whatever the advertising, put a time in there, so.
I don't think I'm in. Perfect. And I can keep 2 hours. All right,
And that's gonna be here or,
and you can catch that, it's here.
okay,
Well, it's really far.
We could.
It does, microphone. Yeah, those are very difficult. Okay, we'll do it here. All right. Got a water advisory group meeting and we've got a public hearing. And investigate.
No public hearing.
Study. Literally, we got a study.
Kyle, can you check with Sam to make sure the 30th works for him?
Will we need him to attend the hearing too, or do you think that doesn't be necessary? Because we're just gonna be hearing from the public, not,
I'll ask them about those.
okay.
You know, they already answered questions, to be available, if there's questions, we don't.
See what do you think? Okay, when will this study be out then? Well, that's the next question, is when do we release it? And if we're going to be having a public hearing, we're gonna need people to study it prior to the hearing. So I recommend we release it after the water advisory committee. When we post it for public hearing, post it for attendance. We'll approve it with the posting. Yes, no?
Yeah, go ahead, give them enough time to. Just think that's a lot of information.
Probably go on
Read through.
It is a lot.
They're currently giving them the job.
It's like 5 days.
It's not a few days. I mean, I've been a couple days going through it and I haven't gotten that far.
Can we post it earlier, just to the website of the city, or?
I can post it to the website. I just need
Okay,
to know.
then,
what-
you want, when you want to do that? Post it on the website? And not,
I mean, you can just post it
Before
say
we-
that we're not gonna have, like.
We will not be
we're not
taking questions or comments
until-
until.
Yeah,
no, yeah, because we won't know the answers until.
right.
Well, that's just that we wouldn't know, but if somebody, like Marcy was saying, if somebody wanted the time to study. I don't think there's anything to hide in it, so.
No, there's not.
You know,
I mean, we're gonna release it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is
There's
really
no
good.
why we don't. Release it now.
Okay,
Just post it tomorrow.
is everybody,
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works.
give me a motion.
I make a motion that we post the water rate study to the website.
Sorry, second.
organized.
Sorry.
All right,
Kadeen, I.
here you go.
I'll get the water bills as well.
So here's the next question, if we post it now, there will come a lot of questions. Do we want to allow public comment during the water advisory committee? Or keep that as a work session for all and then invite the public to the hearing rather than to the meeting?
I think do it as a work session, that way the. Committee and then the council has, and staff have time to get their answers.
The ability to.
I mean, if somebody wants to submit questions before the town hall, then that would give us time to have answers to that question as council.
Absolutely.
And that might answer a bunch of questions. and
But they wouldn't get
save
answered
time.
until town.
Right,
Yeah.
they'd be addressed at town hall, and then we could have those answers already prepared and start the town hall with those answers.
Oh, I get it.
And then it might save a lot of questions being repeated.
Okay. All right. So the water advisory committee will be a closed work session for committee members and council and staff only. But everybody will be invited to the public hearing the week later. And they can submit questions at any time, but they will be addressed at the public hearing.
Okay,
Keep it lit. All right, we've got a plan. I like it. Moderated thing. Sidewalk repair estimates, we already talked about that and covered the amounts, and there are a lot, but it's worth it. There's a lot of sidewalks that we need to just plug away out little by little, and we can get them all done. All right, committee reports. Is there anybody here from YNA that would like to report? Is there anybody here from YDA that would like to report?
Yes,
Please,
we're kind of joining in with the, planning commission.
please standard, come up to the podium if you would.
Being unclear on the agenda, where we fit. Why does she mean, why I think the way the amen?
Committee reports, I was doing a courtesy.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Well, you're the planning commission, right? So that would be the next one I would call,
Oh, good.
along with the
No,
letters.
I thought we were at the bottom, so I'm late and not paying attention.
Fine. Please go ahead.
Well, let me start and then I'll introduce to Jenny. So, plan commission, we are moving forward on the grease trap ordinance. Well, surprising to hear that's not in the building code, but to find out. I think you can do that there. The other thing we're moving forward on is, glare, light intrusion, looking into the ordinances on that with your what? We are ahead of that problem. We're well situated for signs right now because the sign orders we did, they will all come under review. It's not just the guidelines. Planning commission wanted to see every sign. So we will be able to look at whatever businesses are coming. So it's not just, that's covered. That's not a problem, but there are other ways to have glare happen that we should probably get ahead of. The third thing is something that came from that economic development committee, and we wanted to get your blessing on that too. And I will let Jenny present that.
I'm wearing two hats, first, thank you. Yeah, really, so I'm with the Yamhill Town Association, and then also have been a part of the Yamhill Economic Development Committee that is a subgroup of the planning commission to do research and information gathering on ideas for what would make sense for codes and improvements. So it really just kind of tie in with the downtown association as well. So in one thing that we want to confront your radar that's coming that we're looking into is things that can help enhance our unique local communities and kind of help with smart business development and promote local investment in the community by the people who actually live there. And so one potential in doing some research is something called a formula business restrictions. So it's a type of code to incorporate, and the purpose of, so it's an FBR, so again, formula business restriction. The purpose of the FBR is to prevent or discourage infiltration of formula businesses, defined as businesses that offer a standardized array of services and or products that utilize standardized decor, architecture, uniform business methods into their community. So the objective of this FBR is to protect existing mom and pop stores and protect their unique community character. So examples like one like Bellevue in Washington has this incorporated. So it's something not to discourage growth or any new businesses that are coming in, but to kind of keep with the vision and the local character of the downtown corridor and be able to encourage opportunities for local businesses. For example, my husband and I have been involved in coffee roasting and looking to try to find a spot in town that makes sense to put in a coffee shop and enhance our coffee roasting. And
And so that's kind of like that idea. So if there was like, say, a Starbucks that went in, that would sort of throw that out the window. Not that I was supposed to start off my daughter, it works for them, but anyway, an additional point of interest is, thinking about with the SPR, as it can have long-term economic consequences as the downtown or neighborhood business district loses its distinctive appeal and no longer offers opportunities for independent entrepreneurs. So that's part of now trying to the downtown association, we're working on getting grants, so we have our events and things to support the community, and then we'll have more opportunities for grants for the Main Street or in Main Street and things like that, so they help with improving storefronts and things like that. So one thing that I thought was interesting, too, in the information about the SPRs is that it says that of greatest concern, formula businesses tend to be fair weather friendly and disappear quickly when the economy contracts or their corporate strategy shifts. In other words, there's a risk that the economy turns or things change, someone who's having, takes advantage of this area for a business, if they're not really truly part of the community, they're, they can in a business and then say, skedaddle when things were left with the abandoning. So really the idea is to promote what we've got locally. We have a lot of people who want to do interesting things. I'm really excited about the association and the economic development committee is to hear ideas of what they want to see. We're taking surveys of people, the types of like mom and pop, local shops, local businesses that really make sense for what we can do here. So we've got Dayton and Amity and how they've, encouraged that. And again, it's not an anti-growth or smart growth, but just be able to offer stuff that makes sense for the people who are. So we just want to make sure that you're aware of that as we continue more research, provide the recommendations of the community or commission, and then now you've been in.
That's a lot of good information. But it's really nice to, number one, see that your economic development committee is working on these things.
Yeah.
And that things are happening and moving forward, and it's just really.
Yeah, and we welcome, if there's any input or suggestions of ideas that you have or things that you'd like us to do research on. We're looking at, it's kind of interesting because you can find, the code from other towns, you can look it up and see what's out there. And so you can kind of see like, okay, what's the strategy that Dayton has taken, for example, and their long-term goal, and it's quite encouraging. And what they've published in like 2012 after doing this research and getting community involvement, they've got these sections, and it's like what Carlton did about the Main Street, and then they've got the wine district, and they've got like the other like sections where it's set up to promote and encourage the appropriate development that the community wants in the appropriate part of the town, but not just anybody coming in doing whatever they want on your main street, which is such precious real estate. And this is all we got, like Main Street here, so we want to preserve it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And if Carlton has done that, is doing this,
They have more like design codes that have encapsulated this. They're not specifically this. So we did look into how they have
these are different approaches.
different approaches to what's acceptable, design wise, style wise. Just like what you guys have gone through.
Right.
That's the key on that. Just
All right.
kind of like.
So we'll be catching that together and then bringing it to you. Does that sound good? We're gonna ask you to put some time in on that.
Yes, please.
Great. What else? Anything on your mind? The lighting, grease traps. We're working on the river growth boundary, and Airbnb, so we've got a lot going right now. If there's anything on your mind, we will, I bet you'll live.
Did you have zoning on there? Zoning and rezoning? Is that-
Remind me what word is zone, what kind of zoning we're looking for?
For this downtown area, some of the businesses are zoned residential, some of the residential are zoned business. And just reevaluating what we should be defining as business and what we should be defining as residential. Because I think this one right here next to us is residential. And I don't think it actually should be residential, it should probably be a business zone.
This is the first I remember hearing of this. You said this to me before and it went through my head. But I would like to get more specifics
Okay.
from you. I heard what you said. But yes, let's straighten that out. Great. Well, I'd like to know more before I talk to you all.
Not a problem at all, and I'd be happy to meet with you and talk with you and Walt as well. But if you've got your physical with the other things, the other list of things, then we can put that on the list of things to do. Down the road, you can accomplish those things. First would be great.
Very good. So I would talk to Angie about making an appointment with you.
You have my email, right?
Yes,
Yeah, you just email me.
that's right. Okay. Angela's great.
Indeed.
We had a little email question and she answered it. We're moving smoothly toward this hearing on the gas station. And she's being handled really well. All the commissioners are satisfied on board with the information they're getting. So thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Good job. All right, so we've got that one. Anybody to represent the Water Advisory Committee? We're gonna be about. Okay. And then we only got Economic Development Committee. Anybody I forgot? Anybody going more?
Second motion?
Not yet, but thank you. Now we have. Yes,
Could I add with the Yamhill Downtown Association, to keep on the radar as well, so I'm juggling my hat. Next events that we're working on, Halloween, we're working on an event around Halloween, we're supposed to come and along with the December tree lighting and some other things to tie into that as well, you know, so there's that. We got off the tree lighting and other things, so Halloween and Christmas will be forthcoming.
excellent. Will you consider moving the tree lighting to this vacant lot? And see, check with Jason and Kyle to make sure that we can use it, and there's no.
For electricity?
That there's electricity.
Yeah, I heard.
You guys can already just do that.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
did to make it better and then you'll do that behind the Larson house, but kind of pull it out.
Oh, that would be fun too. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, moving on, council reports. Does council have any reports that they want to share at this time? I want to ask Kay about First Friday and if it went better this time.
Yes, it was much better. There was Counselor Ashley, myself, Kim and Pam.
Nice.
Yeah, she visited, we went through the first, yeah, quite lengthy, but
You went through 7 of them?
No, pages.
uh-huh,
Oh, I'm just kidding.
yeah, and highlighted and crossed stuff out
That many.
and,
I don't know how many there are total, but we've got. We're looking to get through it, it might take a little while.
There was 36 pages.
well, I was hoping the person that suggested it would be there and we would go through it, but we could go through it,
Maybe next time.
maybe.
I'll be there. That'd be good. Okay, excellent. So will you share for the record, what First Friday and what we're doing with the first half hour of First Friday?
Yeah, we are going through municipal code. And we're reading it and marking it potential corrections, just so everything trying to shift into more forward thinking. So even though we've had a resolution that changes something and it makes it legal and right, sometimes doesn't reflect to the code, it hasn't been changed, so we're trying to get all that together and be forward thinkers rather than wait 25 years. So there's that.
And first Friday?
First Friday of the month is council, sometimes it's mayor, sometimes it's council president. Love to come have your input, we talk about just about anything,
Everything, yeah.
What time is that?
4:30 to 6, first Friday.
The first Friday.
What time do you get home?
I'm not on the beach.
Oh.
Sorry. Sorry, not
First
sorry.
Friday of the month, it was already, we already had it, so it's every first. Friday.
September 1st is next Friday.
First is next first Friday. All right, excellent. Thank you, Kate. Last thing that I have is we received a letter with some questions to the council, and I wanted to make sure they got on the record. There's only 2 actual questions. So those I will present to, for the record. The one question is the water rate study complete? Then they would like a public copy of it. Well, it is complete now. It wasn't at the time of this letter. And it is being posted for public, and that'll be tomorrow. Next question was, what is the status of the city's audit report? And they'd also like a public copy of that. And so we were audited a couple of weeks ago, a month ago. How long has it been now? The auditors came. Have they come yet?
I think it got rescheduled to September.
Oh, well, that's very good to know. Why, do you know why?
No, Kim would be the one to talk to about that.
Okay, not a problem. Rescheduled in September, okay. And so that would answer that question. The status is that it's been rescheduled and there is no report to share with the public at this time.
And when those are requested, there's a fee associated with that, correct?
I believe there is, yeah, for any document, there's, you pay a certain amount for each page. Which is one of the other questions, there was something about fees and we've just updated all of our fees. We went through an extensive review of every single one and updated them, and they were approved for public use several months ago, I think. That's been done too. All right. That is all I have there. I will.
No, you had your shot. I make a motion, we adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Ready?